Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today's topic are the possible legendary Lord characters that would be tied to the forces of Senesh in the Demons of Chaos roster. So without further ado, let's begin. With Total War Warhammer 3's eventual release, it's all but confirmed that the Demons of Chaos will also come alongside it. The Demons of Chaos themselves are essentially 4 different armies, each representing one of the Chaos gods. These demonic legions each are representations of their demonic patron, and thus are more considered to be extensions of the gods themselves. The demons of Slaanesh are seen to be demons of pleasure and excess, visually beautiful to all mortal eyes that lay upon them. While Senesh's armies might not be the most numerous, there are a few demons that do strike out as possible legendary characters for Total War Warhammer 3. First we have the Mask of Senesh, also known as the Eternal Dancer. The mask was once the most favoured of all demonettes. She danced for the joy of performance, and wove entrapping displays so dazzling that they could strike even immortal gods. Unfortunately, all the mask knew was to dance, and one fateful day, when Slaanesh suffered a monumental loss in the Great Game, where his forces were absolutely devastated, the mask danced for the pleasure of his Dark Prince. Never before had she performed with such skill. She glided across the ballroom floor of broken dreams and sundered promises, each sensuous and graceful motion flowing effortlessly into the next. Unfortunately, Slaanesh saw no pleasure in this dance, only jest. In a rage, the mask was now cursed, condemned to dance throughout eternity against her will, unable to rest her limbs or take the merest pause to savor other experiences. She now dances across the mortal and immortal planes to music only she can hear, never able to rest. Such is the power of the mask's curse that all nearby are drawn into her unholy pageant. Eternal demon or mortal man all play parts in her fluid pantomime as flawlessly as if they had been rehearsing for the moment all their lives. On the tabletop, the mask was a very decently based melee character. While not very strong, she was very fast and had a decent amount of attacks. This could be translated into Total War Warhammer as being a character with an incredibly high rate of attack. Given her unnatural reflexes from many millennia of dancing, it could be that this character would also have a decently high ward save to reflect damage. And lastly, one of her special rules was that of the Eternal Dance, a ranged ability which could be translated into a bound spell, which in the tabletop had the following effect. During close combat, the mask could pick out any enemy within 12 inches of her. The player could then declare which of 3 dancers would be placed onto that enemy unit. The Dance of Dreaming would reduce leadership, the Flesh Spasm Polka would reduce strength, and the Waltz of Lethargy would reduce initiative. Now obviously initiative doesn't play into Total War Warhammer, so it could reduce unit speed. Next we have Nakara, a notorious keeper of secrets, and a character that most people are expecting to join the Total War Warhammer series, considering that she has been mentioned a number of times in Total War Warhammer 2. Her origins can be traced to the Great Chaos Incursion that occurred during the time of the Old Ones long ago, during which the Phoenix King Anarion destroyed Nakari's mortal form, banishing Nakara back to the realms of chaos. This was seen as a great humiliation, and since then Nakara has been obsessed with elves, and more specifically with the bloodline of Anarion. For millennia she has hunted elven kind. Wood elf, dark elf or high elf, they are all the same to Nakara, where through her rage many souls have been fed directly to Senesh. Nakara is the most active demon in Slaanesh's armies, and has even claimed to have taken mortal form on occasion, where the Keeper of Secrets has even taunted Malekith, claiming that he has lain with Morathi, his own mother, many times. Unfortunately, this character never received any models or any rules in Warhammer Fantasy, but as stated before, she has been mentioned a number of times in the second game of the series, and it would be a perfect time to give this character a unique look. As this character had no rules, there's nothing to really look at, but we could speculate that Nakara would have very massive negative bonuses to diplomatic relations with any elven faction, and more than likely would have some sort of special abilities which would increase damage against any elves. Next we have an End Times character, one that is rather unknown, Solvox, the Keeper of Secrets. This character itself is rather interesting, mainly because during the event known as the End Times, when the Chaos Gods were seeking to finally unmake the world, Slaanesh had some other plans. Of course, the Dark Prince of Pleasure did not want the world to end. How else would she feed upon elven souls if no new ones were being created? Thus, when each of the Chaos Gods sent their agents, Slaanesh sent Solvox the Serpent, a keeper of secrets who was considered to be quite inept, his wits long ago been addled by the pleasures of Slaanesh's pleasure palaces. As this character was introduced in a minor way during the End Times, it obviously has no special rules, but I could imagine that since Slaanesh sent him over anyone else in an effort to slow down the End Times, it could be that this character's benefits would revolve around buffs against other demons of chaos in a bid to slow down the End Times. And lastly, we have Azazel, Prince of Damnation, a powerful demon prince of Senesh whose history can be traced back to when Sigmar walked the Warhammer fantasy world as a mortal. This is one of my absolute favourite characters in all of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, with one of the most iconic quotes in the series. "Come, take my hand. There is no wish of yours I cannot grant, no desire I cannot fulfill. Forget your gods, your family, your loved ones. What can they offer you? I can give you more than you have ever dreamed of. I have such things to show you, such pleasures for you to taste. There is no greater love than mine. Come now, join me. It's such an easy step, such a short climb. Yes, that's it. Come to me, my champion. Stay forever." Azazel was once a mortal man, born into the Umberogan tribe with his twin brother and younger sister, all of which were alive during the time that the young Prince Sigmar was making a name for himself. During an expedition, his twin brother fell, and the blame was placed on Sigmar. However, Azazel, back then known as Geryon, knew that he would have to buy his time before he could seek his revenge. For years he feigned friendship and loyalty, and it wasn't until Sigmar was close to wedding Geryon's sister that he struck with a poisoned blade. Geryon's sister fell during the assassination attempt, but the soon-to-be God King Sigmar eventually recovered. Seeing no other way to escape Sigmar's wrath, Geryon fled north to the tribes of the Norsi in Norska. There he had met a sorcerer of the Norsi who had foreseen the coming of one who would become a great champion of chaos, one to be eventually known as Azazel, a name he proudly took up. He lived the rest of his mortal life as a mighty champion of Senesh, having pledged his eternal loyalty to the Dark Prince, and was eventually granted demonhood in return. Since then, he has been known to be the highest general in Slaanesh's armies, beautiful beyond belief, and one of the very few demon princes in Slaanesh's name. Azazel sees into the very hearts and souls of men, and even their deepest desires and hidden passions which are plain to him. With his silvery voice, Azazel whispers into his opponents, promising them all that they could have ever desired if they abandoned the folly of opposing Slaanesh and embracing the mercy of the Prince of Chaos instead. And there are very few that can resist his temptations. All who know of him dread to face him in battle, for the cost of losing to Azazel is not only the death of the body, but the damnation of the soul as well. Azazel was a character from the 5th edition army book of the Champions of Chaos, and he had a decent amount of special rules. Firstly, he had wings, which means he could fly across the battlefield. Hopefully at this point in Total War Warhammer, characters with wings will be able to actually use them. He inspired terror against any who would come into close combat with him, and his Dark Halo provided him with a decently strong ward save. Azazel himself had a decent amount of wounds, which would be represented in Total War Warhammer as having a very large health pool. He was also one of those characters which was immensely powerful, being decently fast, quite strong in melee combat, quite tough too, and having a large amount of attacks. This would be one of the more tankier demons of chaos, even by Senesh's standards. Now, before we reach the end of this video, I want to make a point about these models and how they'll look. So as you've seen during the video, they've all had a more stylized old school Warhammer Fantasy look, but it is important to note that Games Workshop have shied away from that look in the more recent years, and the Seneshi stuff has received more visual updates, less nudity and more pretty in a sense, which I know a lot of people aren't a fan of, but it is very likely that we might see this new visual look represented in Total War Warhammer. I myself prefer the original look, it's just something that I grew up with and I knew those models because of that. However, given the fact that Games Workshop is the owner of the IP, it's more than likely that they'll ask Creative Assembly to focus on the newer look. Don't get me wrong, the newer look does look quite interesting, and those are the ones that I've been showing throughout this segment of the video, but I do think that it would be a bit of a shame if we don't get some sort of resemblance to the old school vibe. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion, shall we? But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various different links to social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team. Also in the description section below is an affiliate link with Element Games, where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using our special link and also using our special code, both of which are in the description below, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. Honestly, it's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to our patrons Gibraltar LUSC and Ryan Bertsche for subscribing to us at our Fane level. Honestly, you guys are super cool. And a big thank you to our patron Edward Huell for subscribing to us at our King level. Mate, you're super awesome. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.